Hello everyone and welcome to Behind the Curtain, Episode 2, The Michigan Dogman. I'm your host, Joey, here together with my amazing co-host. Everyone say hello.
Hi.
Hey.
You might have heard a new voice in there. That's because Thane has deemed us important enough to join.
Thane Green.
Yeah.
So, today we will be discussing Dogman. Now, You've heard the legends, you've heard the song. But have you researched him? Because we sure the hells have.
Yeah.
Wait, have they heard the song? You're making a lot of assumptions about our listeners.
If they live in Michigan, they've heard the song.
I mean,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Maybe.
It plays every Halloween.
Yeah.
True.
I honestly never heard it until just a few weeks ago. It's sure is a song, all right.
That's because you only listen to hipster trash.
Oh, rude. I mean,
coming at you hard.
I cut out his bad jokes, so we're fine.
Be nice to your editor.
I have the power. Okay, so who wants to get right into the cold, hard facts about the Dogman?
Quotation marks.
Wait, what was in quotation marks? Cold, hard, or
facts?
Facts. Dang.
The facts about a mythical creature.
These are hot, soft facts.
Welcome to Facts on a mythical creature. The Dogman is a creature, cryptid, that is to be described as a 6 to 7 foot tall, blue-eyed or amber-eyed, canine-like animal that stands on 2 to 4 legs. It is notably a little bit more aggressive than a Bigfoot, as it tends to stare at people and chase them.
Yeah, and most of the reports, you know, they'll have this sort of staring contest where the person in the report is like, "Whoa, am I actually looking at a Bigfoot?" And then the Dogman, and then the Dogman's like, "Yes, you are," and then starts running at him.
Yeah, but there's no reported attacks.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes you wonder then, doesn't it? Is it a Dogman at all?
Well, Thane's going to bring us into the first sighting ever reported of the Dogman.
Oh, in 1887?
Yeah.
Yes.
By the group of lumberjacks in Big Rapids.
This is important to note. They changed it in the song to Wexford.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Steve Cook recorded the song, he changed a lot of stuff just to make it more centered on Northwest Michigan, just to make the people listening a little bit more scared.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, the Dogman was first sighted in 1887, as Thane said, but then it was sighted in 1938 by a Mr. Robert Fortney near the Muskegon River.
Yeah, and, we're just giving the basic descriptions of these sightings. We're going to go more in depth to them in a little bit.
Yeah.
Mel, would you like to tell people when the song first debuted?
In 1987, DJ Steve Cook played the song The Legend on WTCM on April Fool's as a prank, but he was writing about real sightings that he had heard of.
And after that song aired,
more people started reporting sightings.
Yep.
Convenient.
Well,
you think so?
Well, I mean, you make a big song, everyone hears about it, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen it."
Yeah, it's real.
But if you did hear someone talking about it, wouldn't that be like the perfect time to bring up your own story?
True.
We shouldn't discredit these people just because they called in then. Would you want to call in on something that nobody would believe in?
Yeah, I mean, that's also a good point. Robert Fortney's entire reason for reporting his story was that he thought he was one of the only people to see something like this. Then when he heard the legend, he was like, "Oh, okay, there are more people that have encountered this creature."
Yeah.
Right. You're more likely to tell stories when someone else brings it up first.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to tell a story when someone's there to listen, I guess.
So that you're not looked at as crazy, like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
fucking Steve down the road fucking saw a Dogman." Like,
damn Steve. No, but a healthy skepticism is always encouraged.
Oh yeah, a dose of salt, but also maybe an open mind to these ideas. Many more encounters, below which we will go into further, happened between 1887 and today. In 2007, the Gable film was uploaded to YouTube. Now, this is a film that shows the cameraman on an 8mm film going through the forest after a few little clips of nonsense and seeing a creature he could not understand.
Yeah.
and it charged him. It presumably killed the cameraman at the end of the recording. However, 3 years later, it was proven to be a hoax on the History Channel's Monster Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the longest time, it was considered the most damning evidence of the Dogman. They eventually got the director to admit that it was in fact a hoax.
Just a guy in a ghillie suit with a dog mask.
Yeah.
He also went in depth to show how he had faked all of this stuff, and I thought that was really rad.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of effort put into it.
So,
But yeah, that's the Dogman.
Yeah. Basically.
that's the basic idea of the Dogman: a man who stands around, looks like a dog, and attacks. Well, it doesn't attack.
No,
but-
it's never attacked anyone.
except in the Gable film.
Stares
Which
at
was
people
fake.
threateningly.
So, for your listening pleasure, everybody out there, we've cobbled together 4 of what we believe to be some of the more reputable sightings, 2 that were featured in the song The Legend, and then 2 that weren't, including the most recent Dogman sighting in northern Michigan. Mel, do you want to read the first one?
Okay. In 1887, from The Legend. A cool summer morning in early June is when the legend began, at a nameless logging camp in Wexford Country where the Manistee River ran. 11 lumberjacks near the Garland Swamp found an animal they thought was a dog. In a playful mood, they chased it around till it ran inside a hollow log. A logger named Johnson grabbed a stick and poked around inside. Then the thing let out an unearthly scream and came out. It stood upright. None of these men ever said very much about whatever happened then. They just packed up their belongings and left that night and were never heard from again.
So, upon further research, were we able to find any names of these men?
Besides our good friend Johnson?
Yes, because I could not find another name.
Yeah, no, this is just one of those...
I think he just
Pre-hit.
came up with a name for the song.
Well,
Yeah.
it is important to note that, maybe this is just one of those stories that was never truly recorded. Because in 1887, death records were printed on paper and
Yeah.
did not translate well to the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
We should give it the,
I mean,
little
it doesn't
nod.
say that it killed any of them. It just says that it basically...
It is
stood
heavily
left.
implied, though.
It is not.
Do you think so?
I mean, I'd be pissed if I was poked with a stick, but...
Poked enough to kill?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, you can't give too much discredit to folklore, because obviously if there was no way to record it, word of mouth is kind of the only way it's going to get spread. Yeah, some things were probably changed and maybe they were exaggerated, but it's still,
It's still cold.
So, okay, all I'm saying is, in the song, it says, none of those men ever said very much about whatever happened then. They just packed up their belongings and left that night and were never heard from again. It sounds like the Dogman just fucking slaughtered them, okay?
No, it just says they were
Okay,
stupid
so
enough to-
what you're saying is, they just never did anything ever again. They just left. Their wife, their children. No, they just didn't feel like ever seeing anyone ever again. Makes sense.
Maybe what they saw that day terrified them so much that they really just never wanted to be around anyone ever again.
like,
Yeah.
the Dogman made 11 recluse hermits that now live in the woods.
Or did.
And they call them the Dogmen. It's my new movie.
All right, Feyd, I'm gonna give you Fortney because you seem the most similar.
Thank you. I often fish on banks near the Muskegon River. Or do I? So, in 1938, this was called in to WTCM right after The Legend aired. This is the famous Robert Fortney story. 17-year-old Robert Fortney was fishing on the banks of the Muskegon River near Paris, Michigan, when a pack of what appeared to be large feral dogs emerged from the woods. Fortney picked up the gun and fired a shot into the air. The dogs cringed and turned to slink back into the forest. All except one, a huge black dog with unusual eyes. They were blue, said Fortney. What kind of dog has blue eyes? The big dog and Fortney considered each other for a moment, less than 10 feet separating them. Fortney fired another shot over the head of the strange dog. Then, to Fortney's shock and amazement, the black dog stood up on 2 legs and cast a glare that sent shivers down his spine. It reared up on its hind legs and stared at me, said Fortney. It may be that I was just scared, but I swear that dog was smiling at me.
Okay, so why would he not just shoot the damn thing?
Well, this is one of those things, like...
I mean, it seems like almost a spectacle. Maybe he was just so, I mean, you know...
Like, he was so in shock he couldn't, draw his rifle to shoot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we've all been like, I mean, I'm not saying that we all have had near-death experiences, but we've all been scared to the point where we're just like, oh, geez, I guess I'll just stand here.
Also, Thane, 10 feet, scared as shit, Dogman smiling at you. Could you make the shot?
Could I? I mean, me sitting here right now, yeah.
Maybe when you're out in the field it'll be different.
That's the thing, though.
He aimed enough to shoot over the head of the strange dog. That means he was aiming at it. He just wanted to spook it. Maybe he didn't want to kill it.
But
yes, maybe he misfired or missed,
Yeah.
But it was...
If he's got a rifle and anything over its head is going over the head of the dog, it could have been 20 feet above the fucker's head. It's still over the head of the dog.
But previously, he shot just around into the air to spook, generate enough noise to spook the dogs away.
But he thought they were feral dogs until one stood at him, smiled at him, and said,
Right.
"Hey, motherfucker."
How I interpret this story, which is what it is, I think that he was aiming the gun at the creature, and then all was fine and well, and then as soon as Robert Fortney thought that the dog was smiling at him, I think that was the point where he froze up.
Yeah.
If there ever was, if he did. Because I agree with Thane. His gun obviously was trained near the animal's head, but if the animal were to do something unearthly, like smile at Robert, then I would freeze up as well.
Yeah.
Well, it also says that he did the shot while it was still on 4 legs. Then it stood on 2 legs and smiled at him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just multiple interpretations of a story that probably has many more interpretations.
It's a dog that is coming to you. You're like, "Get out of here, get!" And then it stands up and looks at you. Well, I'm fucking dead.
Yeah, and I mean, it lends itself to have a little bit more credibility because there were reports of similar creatures, not just one Dogman, but a pack of dogs that looked oddly coming from Allegan County in the 1950s and in 1967 in 2 other counties in Michigan. But yeah.
Thane, I'm going to let you take 1978.
Okay. So in 1978, shortly after the legend aired, 2 DNR officers reported an attack on an abandoned cabin in the small town of Luther. It was attacked by an animal that the department could not recognize. From the interview with Steve Cook about this particular sighting, what makes the story so fascinating is that 2 experienced officers were impressed enough by the damage and the size of the dog prints to call it in to the radio station. Normally, police and DNR officers are very pragmatic. They look for the most reasonable conclusion and stay there. Well, one of the officers who responded thinks now that it was just a neighbor's dog that did the damage. Deputy Jeff Chamberlain is not convinced. He found claw and teeth marks on a wooden window frame and slobber marks on the window over 7 feet off the ground. To this day, he can't explain what kind of creature was there or why. Mm-hmm.
What do we think of that one?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those stories that I would tend to believe more because instead of saying, an unidentified creature that could have possibly been the Dogman, instead of being sighted, left evidence of his trespassing. That to me makes this story pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It is important to note that one of them did think it was a dog, but the other one discredited that by saying it was 7 feet off the ground.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of... I mean, to be fair, there are tall dogs. The Irish Wolfhound standing on its hind legs could be well over 6 feet, but,
True.
You know, there are rare breeds that are that tall, but, you know, I doubt they were out in Luther, Michigan in 1978.
And destroying a house at that, too.
Yeah, and they did say that it obviously with did they say dog prints were?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it wasn't a bear. It wasn't, you know, one of the larger woodland creatures that roam the area up here. So,
Also important to note, in 1978, dogs were more domesticated. It would be rare to find a wild dog. It is rare to see them in northern Michigan today.
Yeah,
You're more
it
likely
is.
to see a wolf
or a coyote or something.
Yeah.
or a coyote. Also, important to note, why would a dog be up there in the first place?
That's true. That's a damn good point. If the cabin was abandoned, it probably didn't have any food that wasn't canned.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's going to take us into the most recent sighting.
All right.
This is a story found in Barga County. Sorry if I'm butchering your stuff. Upper Peninsula.
Baruga, I think.
Baruga.
Baruga.
Beluga
Sound,
County.
they named it after the sound from Cars in the 1940s. I was driving north on Craig Lake Road towards Teddy Lake. As I approached Nestoria Road, I noticed something move off the edge of the road into the woods. It was around 6:30 a.m. and a little bit dewy and foggy at the time, but I definitely saw something move. I stopped at the intersection and watched across Nestoria Road. At first, I thought it was a moose, but this was too agile. I took a slow left turn and looked to my right at the woods. I didn't see anything, so I looked forward and sped up. Immediately, this animal ran out of the woods in front of my car and jumped across this road to the south side. I mean, it took 3 long strides and was gone, almost like it vanished through an invisible wall. I was shocked. I continued driving for a few minutes, but I had to pull off and stop. I was literally shaking from head to toe. I sat there wondering what that was. It was on all 4 legs and had the back legs of those of a large man. It had jet black fur and it looked like a very large wolf other than the back legs and the human-like rump. There was no tail. The profile of the head and snout were that of a wolf. It didn't make a sound. I made it to the lake and drove back home in the same direction on Sunday.
I love how, if you haven't noticed, this was not written by a professional.
No.
There are some run-on sentences. This would get like an 83 in English class, but
It bothered me to read that, but you know.
But hey, it's the most reputable, semi-believable sighting in Michigan that we could find. August 2011.
Yeah.
Also, did we ever get this person's name?
I believe he signed it Chuck with no last name. I
Man
wasn't sure
named
if I
Chuck.
wanted to put that in.
No.
The man named Chuck. And as always, we will link all of this in the description if you want to take a look at it yourself.
Good old Craig Lake Chuck. You know the one.
What do you guys think of this story?
I'd like to start off by saying I really appreciate the effort that he took in the very last sentence to be very manly.
Made it to the
sounded,
lake and I drove back home in the same direction on Sunday.
Yeah, it almost sounds kind of braggadocious.
My question is, if you're shocked, why go the same fucking way? I'd go
We don't know.
around.
Maybe he wanted to see it again.
True.
Take a second crack at it.
So the biggest thing that I see with this is that with all the stories that we heard of, it either let out a shriek, it stared at the person, stopped and stared. This one it said it was agile, it didn't stop moving, I guess.
Yeah.
And that this one seems more afraid, I guess, which is kind of weird. Kind of goes against what we were just told, you know.
Yeah, it does kind of belay the Dogman mythos that's been established.
True.
Also, this tale has been around for well over 100 years.
Yeah, folklore shapes and changes with the years.
Also, important to note, it can't be the same Dogman.
Like, animals evolve so they can survive. And the Dogman might be one of those animals that just evolved so that he could survive.
But isn't that through time and reproducing?
Yes.
Does the Dogman reproduce?
As
I don't want to think about this, but, you know.
there's little pup boys running around
Yes.
that turn into dogmen.
I'll discuss my thoughts on what the Dogman is here in a minute, but as far as evolution is concerned, in 100 years of evolution, it would make very, very subtle changes. Like, even a tail wouldn't be fully gone.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And this is like the only story about it not having a tail.
Well, we can't discount altercations with other animals because,
True.
we've all seen like a possum with a chunk of his tail missing. Maybe he just almost got caught. I don't know what the hell is going to chase a Bigfoot and Sorry, I don't know what the hell is going to chase a Dogman and try to bite it, but
Another
it
Dogman?
A bear?
What would two Dogmen fight about?
Dominance.
Dominance, probably.
Yeah.
Or
Pack
the right to
mentality.
stare at that dude
The
who's
right to
hiking
stare.
near them. I want to
So-
stare at him. No, you can do the screaming.
Maybe
Fucking-
that's all the bush, rustlings and all that,
Oh yeah, this
So-
is how we stare at hikers. Watch and learn, boys.
As far as beliefs are concerned, I'm most intrigued with Thanes.
When I was younger, my grandparents loved to spook me. Stories about Bigfoot, Dogman, ghosts, locking me in the attic.
Wait, what? Hold on.
Crossface.
Hold on. That fourth one is not a ghost story.
Well, I mean, just like when you're a kid, you don't want to like if you're being a shithead, it's like I'm gonna send you to the crawl space, and they straighten up. At least I did.
I'd fucking hope so. What's in the crawl space?
Just spiders.
Spiders.
And
But like
demons.
as a young kid, you don't think about that,
Yeah, that's true.
You think there's like the
Dogman.
demons and spook. Yeah, Dogman's down in the basement.
Okay, sorry.
So
Doggy boy.
they try to spook me with the stories and stuff, and it really worked sometimes. Hyperactive imaginations and
I mean,
stuff
you're
like
a
that.
kid. You're gonna believe anything you're told.
Exactly,
Yep.
especially from like my grandparents.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
They knew you trusted them when they used
They
it.
betrayed me. But so for the longest time when I was younger, I thought he was real, just like a lot of other things, But I've never really encountered him, except from this one time. There was, I don't know how to explain it, but at my grandparents' house, there's this lamppost thing that just has a really bright light right on the middle of the road, and they live in the middle of nowhere. And I saw this. I don't know how to explain it. It was almost like a dog wolf person thing, and it just walked right past. But I can't really account that to anything aside from probably hyperactive imagination. I was alone at the time. It was dark out. I was real late, and I just looked out and saw that, and I don't know if it was actually what I saw or a deer, because there's a lot of deer and coyotes and stuff like that out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But if someone pressed a gun to your head or a Dogman claw to your face, what would you say? Dogman confirmed, real, or fake?
I can't really confirm or deny it, because I really just enjoy these type of things, mythology and shit like that. Part of me really wants to believe in it, and also part of me doesn't want to believe in it, like, at all, because that stuff's spooky.
I mean,
So,
he's never heard anyone. I mean, I still hold that.
that we know of that's ever been recorded. So, all in all, I lean more towards not real, but I think that's just the logical side of my brain.
Right on.
Logic. Mel, your thoughts?
My thoughts? Well, I've been in Michigan my whole life. I've heard plenty of stories about the Dogman. I've heard the song. And it is possible that a dog-like creature can live in Michigan. I mean, we have wolves, we have dogs, we have coyotes, foxes. There's pictures, there's videos. But honestly, I'm on the fence about it. It's like, I don't know if he's real or not. It's like, it'd be cool if he was real, because yes, I would pet him, but...
You are so crazy. Why do I
Would
do
he-
it? Why
would he
are
let
you
you
away?
I would give him a meat stick and pet him.
I don't think he'd let you do that.
You are the meat stick, Mel.
Oh, man.
You're crazy.
Yes, I am. I know.
Oh, man. So, Mel thinks he does exist, then?
I'm on the fence about it. I think it'd be cool and it's possible, but it's just... I'm not 100% sure that he's real.
Right on.
So, that moves us to Feyd.
Alright, so I moved up here when I was about 12, and that's when I first heard about the Dogman. Everybody had their parents or grandparents tell them stories about how the Dogman was gonna get him, or how they, it almost seems like everybody knows that one guy that swears he saw the Dogman, you know?
Yeah.
I was mowing my crops and just whacking my weeds, and there he was, 12 feet tall, and he bounded up into the trees. And,
He shot spider webs and flew away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All of Dogman's signature moves. Yeah, so I kind of already maintained, I already have skepticism towards the Dogman, because so many of these tales that I heard that weren't published were from people that I knew, or people that knew people that saw the Dogman, and they were always wild and outlandish. So I decided to take a more scientific approach. I thought to myself, okay, wolves and deer have been purported to stand on their hind legs. It's rare, but it happens, and not many people know that it does. So, if a wolf could stand on its hind legs, then perhaps you could mistake it for a Dogman. But then I ran into a problem of
that they can only stand on them for a few seconds.
And
well,
they
one
can't
that,
run
that
on them.
Yeah, so 3 problems, actually. If a wolf were to try and walk on its hind legs, it would walk in this kind of cross-legged fashion where its right legs and left legs go inward almost. So it wouldn't be very efficient.
No.
Secondly, if a wolf were to stand on its hind legs, it would only be about 4 or 5 feet tall. Now, it could be dark when these stories are happening and, maybe not have the best eyesight in the midst of all the foliage and whatnot in the forest, but to have the average height be 6 and 7 feet tall in the reports, I don't think it could be a normal wolf. So my belief is that it's a case of mistaken identity, much like how Bigfoot is thought to be a descendant of an animal from a long time ago. I honestly believe that the Dogman is a descendant of, or I guess a precursor to the wolves even. The most notable would be the dire wolf, which is about 5 feet long, I guess, discounting the tail, and they would look rather large and odd looking to people that have never seen one before. And that would also...
Werewolves could stand on their hind legs for at least 5 minutes, I think.
Direwolves?
Yeah, maybe their hip structure is
Direwolves,
different.
what?
Yeah, maybe their hip structure is different than a normal wolf. But, I think that maybe there could be some remnants of the wolves' lineage still roaming around, and damn, if I saw one, I wouldn't know the difference between that and a Dogman if it's on its hind legs.
Also, something to add that I totally forgot that we didn't even write it down, and hard to believe that we didn't. It's also said that the Dogman only shows up on years that end in 7.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I think we all spaced. Good job, Thane.
I debated on that, but I read a few stories that showed up in years with 1s, 5s, So I discredited that because I thought that was just superstition to begin with.
I don't know if it's the 7th year or if it's...
It's every year that ends in 7. So, 97, 2007, 2017.
I also looked for 2017 sightings of the Dogman and came up with nothing.
2011 was the earliest, or the latest that I could find that was reputable.
Yeah.
Because I distinctly remember, I think it was 777. My grandparents were like, oh yeah, Dogman year, and...
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. Nothing ever happened, but...
Going back to the DNR, though, in 1978, which was a reputable site, was when the damage to the cabin happened.
Yeah, so I assumed that that whole 10-year cycle, years ending on 7, is just another piece of legend, piece of folklore that was added to the Dogman mythos to make it more mystic. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, spooky.
Yeah.
Spooky's a great word.
Also, Feyd, you said about their reports and all that, and I think a common factor, not to discount you or anything, but a common factor would be fear. You see something peeking its head up at you, on its hind legs, and you're instantly like, oh, wow, that's weird. I've never seen an animal do that.
Your mind starts racing. You start thinking of explanations that aren't.
Fear, so
Yeah.
like fear is that weird thing where you think that it's probably bigger than it actually is,
Good point, yeah.
So maybe it could only be 5 feet tall or 6 feet tall, but
Fear does play a big factor into all of these sightings, because pretty sure everybody that recorded their sightings of the Dogman were scared shitless.
Probably.
So, I'm not native to Michigan. I was born in Wisconsin, and I first heard of the legend when I was around 12 years old. So, I always thought of it as, a campfire tale. Something not really to believe in, just to scare little kids. On the other hand, in my own personal experience, I think there are things that haunt the night. And especially with all the evidence and stories out there, I have to believe something is. Whether it is a dog man, some kid dressed in a costume to scare the shit out of you, or my personal belief is that it's a skinwalker. But,
Ooh.
That's up for debate.
Now what's a skinwalker, Joey?
A skinwalker is someone who can turn into a wolf, a dog, an animal.
Typically a coyote.
And they keep some of their human functions, but they take a more animalistic form. And their main cause, the thing that drives them, is to scare someone, to feed off the fear of someone. So that could be why it's never reportedly killed anyone either. But for my personal belief, I'm gonna give it a yes. Something is out there in Michigan trying to scare the shit out of you at night.
Probably more than one to somethings, but...
And as far as skinwalkers, that's the most plausible that I could find. I personally like the thought of that. Someone who's not really trying to kill you, but is out there to, scare the shit out of you. And, feed off that.
Almost kind of like a malevolent spirit, more so than a physical cryptid.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on it. You can call me crazy all you like, because that is a crazy idea. But,
well, that's what we're talking about.
Is it crazier than
That's why we're
idea of
here.
wanting to pet it?
No, not nearly as...
No, not at all.
Because I would just be like, okay, you've scared me, you've had your fill, bye-bye now.
Go away.
Oh, God.
Mel's gonna walk up to the Dogman and be like, sit! Roll over!
Here's a meat stick.
Yes.
But you are the meat
Yes.
stick.
No, that's when I grab Feyd and be like, here you go.
Hey!
But Feyd ain't got no meat on his bones.
Oh,
That's true.
Well, dogs like bones, so...
guys, please, come on! If we ever see a Dogman, am I gonna be the bait? Is that what you're all saying?
Yep.
Well, yeah, we'll kick you in the knee and start running.
No! In this fictional scenario where we're running from the Dogman, you're the only one that makes it out alive, Thane.
Yep.
Whatever.
I'm the horror movie survivor.
Well, you are white.
Yep.
So, if we were ever in a horror movie, Mel's the one trying to go pet the werewolf thinking it's a dog.
Yeah, Mel, you're the white chick that's like, I don't know what I saw. It was a UFO.
No.
It was a UFO.
Swamp gas, weather balloon.
I'm the one that's
man.
oh, werewolf, cute, let me pet you.
Why?
And then she's the first one to die.
Yeah.
Probably.
I die, probably, and just trying to go find out what happened to Mel. Thane dies trying to find, evidence of what happened to me, or trying to get away.
Here it comes. I'm gonna get away.
And you're gonna get away because you're the token minority and our resident virgin.
This is true.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
That's how
BRB, I just gotta go cry real quick.
I'm sorry, that's just how... Tell me I'm wrong, though. Those are the horror movie tropes. Oh, man.
I'm not gonna say you're wrong.
Oh, man.
Because we can't.
So, yeah.
New movie is coming out next year.
This
Right
year.
on.
It's called Dogman.
Oh, that's original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Skinwalker. It could also
No,
be.
there's already a Dogman movie that was up
I
here.
think
Oh, we're just
there
gonna
is,
call it
yeah.
Man Dog.
Yeah, apparently it was pretty bad.
Man Dog, Strike of the Dogman.
Yeah, it played at the State Theater in Traverse.
Oh, was there actually a movie?
Yeah.
Yes, there
Yeah.
was. I brought it up to you. It came out in 2010 and it apparently was really bad from what I understood.
Oh yeah, it got permission from the director of the Gable film to use the Gable film in the movie.
Yeah, and then I think they filmed it in Cadillac. I think Belair was in it as well. But I think it mainly took place in Cadillac, but I'm not sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
I could
pretty
be
cool.
just really talking out of my ass right now.
I think that's what we're all doing.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Dogman, I think it's a skinwalker. Feyd thinks...
I think it's a giant wolf.
Mel thinks it could exist, but wants to pet it, and Thane is our most skeptical.
Most
I like
skeptical. I mean, I don't know. I say logical. You know?
That's just another word for skeptical.
Certain things, sure, like I'll believe more, like spirits and stuff like that. I'll lean more towards that.
Really? Why is that?
I'm not really sure, but it's hard to believe some like folklores and stuff. But like I've had some experiences with like spirits and stuff. So, yeah.
Right on.
Speaking of next time, we're going to leave it as a surprise to our viewers. Well, listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on YouTube, thanks. If you're listening to it on YouTube, thanks again.
Thank you so much, everybody that's listening.
Yeah.
We all
Thanks.
love you.
Yes.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Yeah. Please share it with your friends. Maybe this gives you a clearer thought on,
The
what
Dogman.
happens with the Dogman. And maybe you like any of our theories.
Yeah.
And hopefully we made you laugh at least once.
Anyways, thank you for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share.
And just a little disclaimer that we run at the end of the episode. Again, these opinions are all our own. We do not claim to be any authority on the paranormal. We're just a bunch of goofballs talking about ghosts and monsters.
Yes.
Yeah. In the future, we want these to be up every Sunday or at the very latest Monday. As we do these more, we will eventually get a set schedule, but we're trying to do them weekly.
Yeah. Which is hard for the editor and the artist, but...
Yeah. Thanks again to Mel for, drawing spooks in our curtain. And thanks to Feyd for putting in, hours of his time into editing this garbled mess.
Yo.
Yeah.
Severe ups to my boy. And thanks, Thane, for joining us this time. And let's hope that he's here next time as well.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know much of shit when it comes for facts, but we do have our opinions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One last
At the
time.
very least, hopefully, we made you think about it a little bit.
True that.
Yes.
Our citations are in the description if you want to go and take a look. My name's Joey. You guys want to say bye-bye?
See you guys.
See ya.
Later.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next week.